What's up, everyone? Thank you for listening to another episode of the Sawyer Brothers Show. Please be sure to follow and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and then follow our podcast accounts and SDI accounts on all socials. We post daily on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. We appreciate the support and listens greatly. On today's episode, I speak with Jimmy Monks. Jimmy currently plays junior hockey for the Pueblo Bulls in the NCDC. He grew up in Wyandotte and played youth hockey for various downriver teams, CompuWare, and Victory Honda. He then played 4 years for Gabriel Richard. Following high school, he played 2 years for Sarnia in the GOJHL, and now he's playing in the NCDC. Jimmy and I have a special relationship. I met him through SDI back in 2017 when he was in middle school, and then I coached him for 4 years at GR. We had some rocky times during his early high school years. I'm hard on my guys, and I believe some lessons are learned best from tough love. That's part of being a coach and being a member of a team. Jimmy is ultra competitive and passionate, which is extremely positive, but it requires some extra emotional control to fully maximize it. He needed to learn that, and once he did, he was unstoppable. I had to learn the same thing when I was that age too. As a GR high school player, he was dominant. I've always said that he's one of the 2 most dominant players at their respective levels that I've personally coached. He was a dynamic playmaker and he was a total gamer. The competitiveness I previously mentioned helped him thrive in big moments and big games. He wanted to produce and he wanted the team to win. It was great speaking with him and hearing his perspective on hockey and life. I hope you enjoy. All right, Jimmy, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Just get back from practice?
Yeah, we have practice and workout after. Workout after as
Nice.
well.
You're in the NCDC this year. Who are you playing for, and where are you?
I'm playing for the Pueblo Bulls in Pueblo, Colorado. So I mean, it's Colorado's definitely a lot different than Michigan, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And what's your guys' normal schedule like to start this year? Are you guys skating like every day, practice obviously? What's that whole setup?
Yeah, you skate every day, workout every day. Some days it's yoga, some days it's a lift or just stretch. So it is a lot. It's a lot more than what I'm coming from for sure.
Nice. And you're what, a few games in here. I know you've started the year off great. How's this transition been for you, like living wise and playing wise?
The transition's been very easy. They got a lot of returners on this team. Not a lot of them, but the returners that are here, it's a good solid group of guys. So it's made it easy to come in and play and get used to it. They're getting
Nice.
used to Colorado, getting used to my living situation. I've been in 2 billets, so it's been a little crazy, but other than that, it's been good. The hockey though couldn't be going better right now.
Are you the only Michigan guy on the team?
No, there's 2 more. I played with a guy last year, Josh Granowitz. He's from Plymouth. He played for Catholic Central,
Okay.
and Trey Damien. He played for Clarkson last year.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Well, that's great. Give us before we jump in a ton of your current stuff, give us a background, just overview of where you played growing up and just kind of walk through the basics of that stuff for a minute or two.
Yeah. So I started playing minor hockey in Wyandotte Rec Association hockey. From there, um, Brennan Green actually, his dad started a team. Bell Tire. It was like a little spring team, but if you were downriver, you wanted to be on that team. Everyone wanted to
Yep.
be on that team. So that was my first kind of taste of like the next level or kind of guys that wanted to play for a long time. Those were even we were 8. Those guys were already ready to go. But
Hmm.
so I went there. Kind of a culture shock a little bit. My dad kind of was like kind of let me know like you probably should take another few years at double A, just let it kind of chill out because yeah, I mean I was playing but I was a bottom 6 guy, so it didn't really make any sense to stay there. So I went and played the Airborne Cobras with Ty Gonzalez. That's Gonzo's dad. So I
Okay.
played with Gonzo for a year there, and then after that, that's when I finally went played AAA. I played for CompuWare and Victory Honda in AAA. Those were play honestly was it was fun. It was always fun. I had really good friends. We made a lot of memories, but it wasn't until when I got to high school I kind of came into my own and started, becoming a little bit of a better player.
Nice. And then so we'll touch on all kinds of stuff with your high school experience with GR. But so you play 4 years at GR, and then you go and play juniors, and then what's that setup?
Yeah, so I played 4 years GR, and then after GR, I got tendered in the null, and I just knew I went to main camp, and I just knew I wasn't ready. I knew I wasn't. Even if I were to make that team, I would have been a scratch fourth liner. So I wasn't willing to do that. So I talked to this team, the GOJHL Sarnia, and it was a lot more price efficient than some other teams that I talked to. So I jumped on it right away. I was like, okay, yeah, this is where I'm gonna go. And yeah, I went there, and at first we played a couple preseason games. I was lighting it up. I was like, oh man. And then regular season came, and it was a lot different. Obviously, I mean, high school compared to juniors is just like a whole obviously it's a whole other game. So even getting used to junior B in Canada was crazy. So then I played there for 1 year, played Sarnia again for last year, and then this summer I was at a pre-draft camp and just got to play for Pueblo's team for 1 day. And the guy Coach Chris, he called me after and was like, "Yeah, I mean, how you feel about getting drafted?" I was like, "Man, I was like, it's been 2 years since I've even talked to a tier two team, so." I hadn't even thought of moving away or doing anything like that. So once I got that call, I really thought about it for a second. I was like, man, it's my last chance. And I mean, I kind of passed up on it. I mean, you could argue I passed up on it, but I think I just wasn't ready for it. But then I wasn't gonna pass up on it this time.
So you acknowledge that you weren't ready 2 years ago, right out of high school. Now you've got 2 years of junior experience, and did you feel whenever you signed this summer that you were comfortable and ready now, or what was that feeling like this time around?
This time around, it definitely felt a little more like I'm ready because I'd
Mhm.
played, even though it was junior B, I'd always had a little bit of a success in that league. So I thought, why not just go try tier two juniors in the States? I just never, even while I was playing hockey in Canada, it never came across my mind of like, oh, I want to, I'm like, my goal was never to leave there and go play somewhere else in the States. It kind of
Sure.
just happened. So
Yeah.
once the opportunity came, I jumped on it. But I was never reaching out to teams or like it was never like something that I was like, oh, I got to get out of the gauche.
Sure.
I was willing, I was ready to finish in Sarnia, and then they kind of had a little blow up, and it's like this all came together like perfectly.
It's weird how that happens. It's weird how
Yeah.
that happens. Just random stuff. Yeah, I mean, even if we rewind years ago, I don't think when you were a young kid, it was a thought that you were going to be going to high school at GR. So things always kind of just randomly happen.
Yeah, it
So
does. Always changes.
nice. Well, that's good stuff. So let's back up. I want to touch a lot on the GR stuff, but you mentioned, going to your various teams when you were playing youth hockey. Were you forward all along, or did you ever play D as well? Because you're always so offensive. What was that setup like?
There was a point in time I played for Norm Bunch. I was like sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, so all in middle school until I went to you guys. Eighth grade, I mean, now that I look back on this a lot now, and I think it's because he was maybe like, man, what am I gonna do with this guy? But he let me play defense. He let me play defense for a little bit towards the end of the year because I think our team was pretty loaded up front. We had a lot of really good guys, and I wasn't playing very much, and we didn't have very many D, so he was like, all right. And that was
Yeah.
the year before I went to high school. So playing defense honestly gave me a little bit more confidence before I came to high school, just getting little bit more space and being able to skate the puck a little more. But yeah,
Yeah, it's different perspective whenever when you can play the two. I find so many guys, even including me, I played forward like 99.9% of the games I ever played hockey in, except for like a handful of spring games, various years. But
yeah,
like when you do go back to D, and there are little things that help you. So I like seeing the ice and just kind of seeing it from their perspective. I think can help. So that's good. I just like when I think about you, I think of just high offense, like but good both ends, but like you're out there to score goals and produce. So
yeah.
that's good stuff. So how do you end up at GR? Like I know a lot of the ins and outs, but I don't know the whole background, and it's been a few years. So how do you end up at GR?
Yeah, I feel like I'm throwing this guy under the bus a little bit. I don't know if he's gonna see this, but again, Grainer, his dad was, integral part. But initially, the reason I had found out is because me and Brennan were playing Victory Honda in eighth grade together, and we both were kind of like, it was just getting to the point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like AAA sucked. Like you go to Toronto, you go 0-4, and you score 2 goals. Your team scores 2 goals in 4 games. You're like,
Yeah.
man, this what do we even come here for? So it was kind of just getting to the point I was sick of it, and we ended up talking to. Well, first I really wanted to go to Trenton. I had applied for the school of choice, and I had done everything you have to do to go to Trenton for some reason, and and I ended up getting in, and my dad just kind of was like, I don't know, like it's a little bit of like Trenton has always kind of been known. I mean, I'm not sure that's what it's like, but it's always been known for a little bit of like the politics. So my dad just kind of was like, I don't know if I want you to go there, and I showed up, and yeah, going to GR was probably the best decision I'd ever made because I mean I went to Wyandotte before their team. Mike Quint was their coach forever, and my dad worked at Quint Plumbing. It was like that's where I wanted to go honestly for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Wyandotte hockey's kind of started to slip a little bit their high school team, and then GR was like a powerhouse. Like I remember
Sure.
going to watching GR games in eighth grade, being like, man, I want to be on this team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good stuff. I mean, shout out to Mike Quint. He's a legend of the game and like had such an important role in building Wyandotte, of course, but then also just on downriver and then players beyond downriver. Like when I was in high school, he was one of the leaders of the whole coaches association for the state. So like as far as someone who just a random name drop there, he's no longer coaching, but at the time like he was a big deal. So
Him and my dad are actually still pretty close, and he's helped me still calling guys, calling people that he knows. For me, like he's done it for my little brother too when he was a little younger. Like he's always there to. He knows a lot of people that you don't even. I mean, when I grew up, it was like my dad's boss and the coach of
mhm.
Wyandotte, and then once I got older and realized Mike did know a lot of guys, a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Absolutely. That's good stuff. So you end up going to GR. I remember you and you had a whole solid freshman class of all these young guys. And I remember one of my memories is we're going to play Liggett, like one of the first I think it was the first game of the season. And we're playing at Liggett and we've
Freshman
got
year?
yeah, was it your
Okay.
freshman year?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got like, Vaz and Harrison and Emery and Palumbo and all these guys that are solid seniors. We have no juniors, some sophomores and some freshmen, and I'm standing on the bench like if these guys can all grow up and produce and stay on the trajectory they're on, we're going to be loaded in 2 and 3 years. And that's exactly how it worked out. At that time, we had really good seniors, but then we had all those guys like, you and Robbie and Brody and all these guys that were ready to go right away. So that was a blast. So
We got
what was
Potter
that?
that year too.
Yeah,
He was huge that
Potter
year
and
to come in.
Wishcombe. Yeah,
Yeah.
Potter and Wishcombe for that sophomore class. Like, so that's what I mean. It's like we had no juniors, and then that sophomore and freshman class, we had a solid couple classes there. What was it like for you coming in? You say that you wanted to play for that team, when you're in eighth grade. What was it like making that transition to high school hockey as a freshman?
I always thought, I mean, would when you're playing AAA, everyone's like, man, high school's nothing, all this. A little bit in the back of my head, I was like, oh, I'm gonna come in here and be fine, light it up. And it just kind of, I mean, it's not like I struggled hard, but there were games where you'd play
Sure,
like Country Day, who had 15 seniors, and I was just like, couldn't even touch the puck. I was like, what am I doing out here?
sure,
So yeah, the transition, it was more of a humbling experience because I thought that although I got a lot more confidence because there were a little bit like bit of weaker games where I could go out and have offense and produce, but then there were the games that I had to bear down and just play defense. So the transition was just humbling kind of because I thought I'd come in and just light it up, and it didn't happen. So
I think so. That's a wake up call for so many players because there's so many different ranges of what high school hockey is. Like you
yes.
have teams that are loaded with a lot of guys that are similar to your situation that
played AAA hockey and just wanted something different. And then they go on and play after. But for that time period, like they were there to develop and they were still good players. And then there's
Yeah.
also a whole other segment of the state where it's just like weak teams. So it's just there is that range, but you obviously make that transition. What was it like? Obviously, you said kind of adjusting and a bit of a wake up call, but playing with some of those older guys that were simply just faster. I mean, when you've got Vaz and Harrison flying around like two of the fastest guys, they just fly everywhere. What was it like playing with guys like that?
I used to think it was so cool. Honestly, I obviously I would be like, oh, I got to get my boots moving. I had heavy legs, so I was like, I got to get going. But playing with those guys, it always made you. I think me and Austin a little bit before we had a little line change up that really helped us when we stacked that first line and kind of made our other lines just even. But it helped us. But I was playing with Austin before that. We had a game, Orchard Lake, St. Mary's, and I had three primary assists on Austin's hat trick. But I remember we had a 2-on-0, and I whiffed on the backhand, and I could hear him screaming already. What the F are you doing? Like already, I turned around and just threw it at the net. Rick DeSantis still to this day talks about how good that turn back was. That was not a turn back. That was a TO. That was a TO, and I turned back and got lucky that Austin tipped that in. But playing with
Uh,
those guys was always so much pressure, but it was like the pressure you wanted. You wanted to be out there with those guys.
Exactly. No, that those are funny stories. I think anyone that comes and plays for a high school team when they're one of the younger guys and they're playing with guys that are older and are like simply just cool guys and they're good players, like you have some of that pressure, but like you said, you kind of want it. You're like, I
Yeah.
want to be pushed like this. Like when I made Trenton as a sophomore, there was 3 sophomores and there was 10 seniors and a bunch of juniors too. And it was like they were like, they in my mind, like they were it. Like they were the coolest
You
people in the
want them
world.
to think you're the coolest too, though. So yeah,
Yes,
playing with them or getting that opportunity to try to play with them was like the coolest thing because you're right,
exactly.
like the pressure, but you looked up to those guys so much. And like I said, well, like how you were too, you watched Trenton your whole life growing up.
Sure.
Oh, in eighth grade, I didn't even know Austin or Nathan, but I would watch the games and I'd see them lighting it up, and
Hmm.
I'd be like, man, these guys are sweet. And then I meet
Exactly.
them, and they're actually cool guys. So it was a really cool experience.
Right. Right. In your mind, going in, so we win the quarters. We're getting ready for the semis, and COVID happens. In your mind, what happens in that semi game?
The semis we win for sure. Semis we win for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, we're playing Saturday regardless. Like we'd be
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
Saturday. From there, it comes down to the game. But like we win that Friday game for sure. I agree.
yeah.
Um, so you go sophomore year. Your sophomore year I felt was an interesting year. We had, like I said earlier, no seniors on that team because there was the year before there was the whole gap of that class. You go through that year, you continue developing individually, and also our team goes through a lot of strides. And then junior year, we pretty much have the exact same team as your sophomore year because no one graduated. What were those years like as far as developing for you? And then also being a player and going through that time period with GR of just like everything being like another step for the program. What were those experiences like for you?
The sophomore year was a little bit of a. I think we all got humbled. That was a big slice of just you saw. There were some games where, I mean, we still did all right. We did pretty good, but it was like there were games that we just were out. We had that UAD game, and Rick, we had practice in the morning and it was straight defense practice. Rick was scared.
Mm-hmm.
Rick was like, "Man, we got to lock down." So I
Yep.
mean, we all kind of realized like, yeah, our team's not as good as we were last year, but we had that kind of also we knew that that year wasn't our year. We weren't going to win
Mhm.
states that year. So we were like, all right. I mean, in the locker room after that quarterfinals, we lost to Chelsea. I don't think there's a single tear shed. Yeah, everyone was kind of like, next year. Next year's like, I mean, it's upsetting, but next year was the year. So then
Mhm.
junior year comes, and it was like, I thought we were good, but the real like the what got me going was when we went to Gaylord and they had Flint Powers on that ranking. They were like second in the entire state, or maybe in just D3. No, they're first in D3, second in the whole state. We were like, no way. We were like, no way these guys are that good. We go out to
Mhm.
Gaylord, beat them, beat Alpena. and I think we went on like a little bit. I can't really remember, but we went on a run there where it was like I think we had only lost to St. Ignatius. So in the
Mhm.
state, other than CC, in the state, it was like we were running through teams. I was like, man, this is it. Like we're gonna win states. This is, and then it's just upsetting what happened, but it wasn't our year for sure. Wasn't our year. But what
Yeah.
seeing how our team went from freshman year thought of to be good, but everyone knew Nathan, everyone knew Austin, Drew, Jake, those guys.
Mhm.
Everyone knew that those guys were the team basically. Sophomore year, everyone was like, GR's not that good. They got a lot of young guys. Then the next year was like everyone was like, okay, that's when it finally felt. I think that year I remember waking up in the morning, everyone's like talking in the group chat, and we were second on the state champs state ranking, so we were right behind CC, and it was like, man, I thought we were good, but I was like, man, that's kind of crazy, like we're even
Yeah.
there, but yeah, it went fast. Like I don't think any of us it didn't like change any of our like personalities though to be that good. We kind of just
Mhm.
expected to be that good, honestly. By that time, by my junior year. Gavin was a senior, Matthew was a senior, all those seniors. I was like, no one's gonna be able to beat our team. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
that was it.
I mean, it's my perspective is so similar from the coaching standpoint. It's like the way I described that year was we had so much offensively talented players that were now back to being seniors and juniors, your class and the class above you. And then we also had a 2 years time period where all of those guys had to learn how to play defense. Like you
Yeah,
said, getting ready for U of D in those games. Like Rick, since he's so good at teaching the defensive side of the game, we had all these young guys with all this offensive ability, but no defensive sense. And then we add in the defensive sense, and then now you guys were old again, and you had the offense, so we had both. So I
I gotta
think
give
that's where
credit
that
actually. Shout out Gonzo. Gonzo has the best high school. The I don't know. I mean, maybe he'll be on here, so I don't really want to say too much. But junior year, like man, he was he just had that jump from like he just got older. But that's what you need. You need guys that are like that that you just don't even think of, and out of nowhere he's bumping somebody down in the lineup you never thought would be. So you're like, man, what's going on?
100%. Totally agree. Yeah, no, that year was a lot of fun. Okay, so before we touch on your senior year, because there was obviously a lot of good things on your senior year, your freshman year emotional, mental standpoint on life to your junior senior year was a whole normal progression of someone just maturing and growing up. Were you thinking about that in the moment? Like you grew so much. How did you handle that? Was that like a natural or did you try?
I think I honestly, I've said it to my dad. I don't want to pump your tires too much, but I give you a lot of credit for that because you would tell me all the time when I was like 14, you'd be like, you can't be a pussy, like stuff like that. You just tell me, you'd be like, you can't act like that, man. You just can't. It took me a while. It's not something that changed overnight for sure, because even I'd have a streak where I was going good and then I'd lose it one game and it'd be like, oh God, here we go. Like all this everything that was good now it's thrown out the window. So
Mm,
I mean, yeah, I mean freshman and sophomore year I had to learn how to just kind of relax, because I mean, even playing minor hockey, I think I had guys on my team that were crazier than me. And it was kind of just like I would just kind of look at them, watch them and be like, all right, like that guy's a clown. And I got to high school and everyone kind of has a different mindset when you get to high school. Everyone's kind of like, it's for the team, it's for
mm,
your school. Like it's no one's kind of for themselves. And it took me a second, not that I was for myself, but it took me a second to realize like, man, you messing up is not that important compared to the team having success. So you should not go back to the bench, throw your stick, and start screaming and all this, because it's not.
sure.
You only have 25 games. You don't have 70 or 60. You
Right.
have to win every game you can. So you can't go back to the bench losing your mind or something. So yeah, for my junior and senior year, I kind of realized, well, especially senior, the talk I had with you that made me kind of, it wasn't anything you said, but you said your self now would beat the shit out of your past self. And I was like, man, that is probably true. I was like, that's a year ago. I probably was soft and just like mentally just soft, just softer. And like, so by the time my senior year came, I was ready just to. ready to go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I give you a ton of credit because to go through that growth, like that's that third component. Like I already said, like offensive talent, you can do that. Like, you and our team had that defensively, we were growing. And then the third component is the mental side of things, the emotional side. And you definitely had that. So I give you a ton of credit because all it was is you were just going through life and growing up like we all are. And I was hard on you in those situations because it was a lot of what I had dealt with when I was in eighth and ninth grade. So
Hmm.
I mean, my dad made me walk home from the rink in my full gear because I was banging my stick at a game one time. So it's like,
Yeah,
I know you know that story. I've told that story too many times to every player, but like it's an example of why I am the way I am on that stuff. So,
no,
um,
it makes sense. I appreciate it because, like you're right. My senior year came and even all those guys, Brody, Robbie, even like Robbie and Peyton, they'd sometimes lose it, but it would never be like, I don't know. By the time we all became seniors, everyone was kind of just ready to go. So no one had those fits that made it so hard to deal with them.
completely agree. Exactly on that note, you already mentioned the difference kind of with high school versus some AAA when you're like, growing up, the individual stuff versus the team stuff. How important do you think it is for the team to be on the same page for success for a team? Not just in high school, but in any level. Like reflect on your junior experiences too. How important is the team feel?
It has to be you have to have everyone on the same page because it's literally you can have a game where a guy that just doesn't care that much gets on the ice at a critical time and he just isn't going as hard as everyone else. It could be one player. And I know everyone says like, oh, it could be one guy. And it's true. Like you could have one guy on the team mess it up for everyone else. It's just like, how? So I mean, what a lot of coaches say is like you can't have passengers. So a lot of guys like to sit. I think there's a lot of guys that like to be a part of a team. They like to be a part of a locker room, be a part of like the brotherhood, but they don't want to put in the work to do it. I've experienced it a lot in my whole life. My whole life playing hockey, I've experienced it with guys just kind of I understand it. Who doesn't like to be in the locker room? Who doesn't like to have buddies on the team? But when it gets down to like the game and you're up a goal with 30 seconds left, you got to eat a shot. Who's gonna do it? So
Sure.
it is
No,
a huge thing for the whole team to be ready to be on the same page.
great insights. It's so true. I would echo everything you just said there. Um, so on the individual side of things, your senior year, you light it up. 90 points. You have an awesome year,
Yeah.
statistically and just performance without stats. What was that experience like your senior year? Because it's from my perspective, who was standing behind you on the bench the whole entire season, it seemed like things that you had done just came together, and it was like years of work was kind of coming and culminating right there. What was that experience like for you?
I tell guys all the time that are getting into high school that even if you are a really good AAA player, even if you are the best player in your age group, high school just takes getting used to. It's high school specifically, the game takes getting used to. And by my senior year, I think I just had it. I just knew like how to like not even how to exactly put up points, but how to win games at that point. I knew at that like I knew just yeah, your senior year it made me feel like that confidence that I got from my senior year, I felt like I was the man. Like it was just
Mhm.
everything did come together. Uh, I mean, Gonzo, Brody, those guys, I could not have done what I did without those guys. Like they just, especially like, I mean, Brody was perfect for me and Gonzo because it'd be like he'd be below the dots in the D zone, while me and Gonzo were like past the blue line. It'd just be like so I mean, it did help. It did help us a lot. And Gonzo, I mean, I already mentioned him, but I was saying he was so good that my senior year, like he was like a lot of guys will complain in high school about like, oh, the guys on my team can't finish, guys on my team, blah blah blah. Like because in high school, not everyone has like two lines that can just produce at will almost. Like I'll highlight a game. We played Liggett my senior night, and we were down the whole game, just over and over. We just kept going down, and we came out in the third, and it was just like a waxing. Like
Yep.
immediately, we scored like 4 or 5 goals. Like right off the rip. And that was like a big part of like all of our seniors that game were like, we can't lose senior night. So that kind of had us all feeling like it felt like my senior year, like it just felt like a lot easier. Everything felt easier. Everything felt slower, and like I could just make plays. The passes, I throw some passes my senior year that I would be like, I still watch him back. I'm like, how did I throw? How was I just throwing that pass? Like, or I'll send him. I'll get like a year ago today, like from like I'm sitting in high school, filming it off my Chromebook, and I'm sending it to Nick DeSanto because it's his goal. I'm like, man, like look at this, and he's like, he playing at Eastern Illinois. It's so cool though, because it's just like you always come back to like GR at the Yak, like us just lighting it up.
Exactly.
Those videos are the best, so you love
Yeah.
them.
That's awesome. I mean, you had such a great class. Like, you know, I when I came to GR, I was there for 1 year, practices only, the your 8th grade year because I was still coaching the '04 Bantam team and I wasn't allowed to be on the bench for games like on the official roster. So your freshman year with all those guys was like my freshman year at GR basically. So
Yeah,
like those were my first experiences too, and I mean just coming in with that class like every guy you've already mentioned. I mean, there was what 8 of you by your senior year? You, Gonzo, Brody, Robbie, Payton, Lumbo, Wiz, DeSanto. I think that's
yeah.
all 8. I
I think
think.
that was it. I think that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you said, that Liggett game, I remember that too, being down at the end of the second. And I looked it up because I had the scores earlier to kind of like think back on things. We beat them 9-4, and it's
Yeah.
like, I remember walking back in the locker room, like you said, 17 minutes later, being like, yeah, that was not even close. So
Or and you saying you came in as a freshman with us, I think that 100% had that is why like the reason that everyone wanted to win on our in our class, everyone wanted to win that Trenton game so bad because literally from the time we came into high school, we knew we were like, man, Sawyer, like I don't know if you remember 8th grade, Mihal, Brennan Green, Robbie, Gonzo. It was a JV team. It was like us in
I
8th
remember
grade.
completely. It was the Typher Arena.
And you told us. I remember before that game. I've never felt like that before a game. You were like, you were just so juiced. I was like, oh my gosh, man! Like we're gonna go. We beat them. You were so excited after, and we had never played them till my senior year, and we kind of just knew we were like, man, gotta win. I remember after that game, or even on the bench, I was looking at you like, man, it's crazy. Like we're actually doing it.
One of my favorite experiences as a coach forever has been that game. I mean, the 8th grade one that you just mentioned, we beat them 2-1 in the Typher Arena, and I remember I told you guys before the game, I'm like, they don't want to be on the ice with you. They think they're too good. I played, and I know that's the mentality because I played there. I was one of those guys. When it's summer and spring, if you're playing downriver team, you think you're too good for them. And there was some truth to that at the time because we would just Trenton beat everyone. And then, you
Everyone,
guys
I
would
know.
drum.
You hear that though, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
dude, like you gotta, you can't,
exactly.
you don't want them, and a big thing with like the coolest thing with high school hockey, I think, is the rivalries in high school
Mhm.
hockey with like we weren't even rivals with Trenton.
Yep.
You were never rivals with GR.
Sure.
Your
Yeah,
teams would
never
have beat
played them.
the GR teams by 15 goals. So it would have just not been the same game, but it just made it such bigger because you knew everyone, you know everyone.
Mhm.
Even like my whole high school experience growing up, like we lost to Riverview a couple times my freshman year. Like
Sure.
those downriver games always just meant more for some reason, even if it felt like you were gonna beat that team. But I just loved high school hockey, like for the downriver aspect of things. When you played those downriver teams and you
Yeah.
knew everyone that was at the games, it was so cool.
100%. I think that GR Trenton game your senior year is the epitome of that. That is a game that every kid from downriver, Trenton kids, GR kids, unaffiliated kids go to a game like that and they're like, I want to play in this game. I don't really know which team yet. I don't really think that's a big deal, but I want to play in this game because it's
Yeah,
the atmosphere was awesome. So that was good stuff. What other games do you think back on? Do you have any other that stick out in your mind that were like the great example of high school hockey, or just games that were extra memorable for you? I know our Powers game in the showcase was a loss, but that was
I
like one of the
think
best high school games.
I think that game was it wasn't like a student section game, but it
Mm-hmm.
was like the epitome. I think it was the epitome of the showcase.
100%.
Just just black coats and parents all around
Yep,
the rink.
for
You don't
sure.
see, there's not a single student in the stands. And it
Yeah,
was just like, that was a real high pressure game. That was like a,
yeah. Came down to the end. Came down to
yeah.
the end.
Or like, there was a couple. I mean, De La Salle, the year we lost, that sucked, but that was a
Hmm.
crazy game too. That there was a lot of people at that game. Uh, my senior year, I got to highlight this game
Yeah.
because, man, it was nuts. Brighton MIHL Showcase second game.
Yep. That's what I
Uh,
was gonna mention after. I was waiting for you to go there.
there wasn't, it was like the last game of the night, so it wasn't very like crowded or anything. It wasn't like the coolest game, I don't think. I wasn't like but it was like the, everyone before that game, we were a little like the younger kids like Forrester and Patak. When you're growing up, or at least from like my brother's age to my age, Brighton, when you think of Brighton, you think a powerhouse. You're like, man, these
Hmm.
guys are good. Like when I was growing up, Jake Crespi, he played there, and I played with Aiden. I would always go watch their games. I was like, Brighton's stacked, like all this.
Hmm.
And then they had kids my senior year, like Cam Duffney, Dom Vincent. They had a pretty good roster, and I played with those kids in AAA. So I was like,
Mm.
I was real up for that game. I was like, oh yeah, let's go. And,
And they were huge. They were all. I feel like Brighton teams were always so big.
yeah, they always were like, and if you ever looked at their rosters, it was like they had never had freshmen. They never did.
Hmm.
It was like a three or four, kind of like how your Trenton teams were. It'd be like two or three sophomores, and then everyone else was junior and senior. Yeah, but yeah, senior year was definitely pretty sweet,
Drop.
pretty
Okay,
cool.
so drop the stat line for the Brighton game to put a bow in it. How many goals and assists you have?
All right, can I say this final score too? It makes it
Say the
even
final
better. It makes
score
it
too.
better. All right, 3 goals, 2 assists, two primaries, 5-0 win. So
Yeah,
I was like, I was like, Brighton can't even like touch me if I'm on the ice. This is pretty nuts. Like it felt pretty crazy. But I don't like to look back on high school like that and be like, oh, like it was the coolest. But it's also like from what I went through in AAA, not like what I went through, but I was like a middle of the pack guy. If I went out and scored a goal, I would think about the goal for 5 days after. I'd be like,
sure.
man, like what a goal.
Right.
If I got to high school, it was kind of sophomore, like freshman, sophomore year. It was like, man, picking up points. Like I want to pick up points. Like I can do it. Then junior year, picked up a good amount of points. Junior year, I didn't think that I would have that good of a season. And then once I had that good of a season, that's when senior year came, and I was like, yeah, I got to light it
For
up
sure.
this year. So it was kind of more. I like to think back on it just because, man, before I got to high school, I didn't think of hockey the same way. I didn't think it was fun. I thought of hockey as like a job. Like you're showing up to play the third line to play defense. Like you're not doing anything else. It was like, but when I got to high school, that's what made me want to continue to play hockey.
Exactly. I don't bring up the stat part just to pump your tires. Of course, there's a little bit of that. You deserve it, but it's also to show the importance of the team. I mean, like we were in a system, in a structure that allowed you to do that.
Yes.
And it was up to you to live and play that way. But when you have a second line of Venturini and Payton and Childs that are going out there and taking minutes against Brighton too, they're wearing them down. That's how the teams work. That's why it's so important to have those multiple lines and depth to play their roles.
Another game. You probably remember this. Brother Rice, my senior year, in the Catholic League Showcase. That
Hmm.
was a very good showing of we went out. I think Brody scored. I think Gonzo scored. And then we get off the ice. Payton goes out. Payton scores. It was like these guys couldn't. They probably were like, "Oh my gosh! Like they have. Is this their first or second line? Like who is it?"
I
So
think so.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
had two lines that could, especially in high school, if you have two lines that can compete or put up points, it's
Yep.
yeah. And Robbie and Payton are huge. So for high school, they were probably guys were probably in fear of them.
Yeah. It was awesome. And then we had a third line that just grinded. What was your so when you think back to all that, let's talk about Coach Rick. Rick played a huge role in all of this, if not the biggest. I mean, he is Mr. GR hockey. So touch on your experiences with him.
Rick was honestly at first, he does take a little bit to get used to. It's not it's kind of the way that he coaches. It's the yeah, yeah, yeah. Me and we still joke about all the
Always
seniors. Like,
three.
yes, always three. It's hilarious. Like but when you first come in and he's yelling at you and saying the three things, you're like, man, this guy needs to get on somewhere. But by the time it got to my junior and senior year, the best thing that I noticed with Rick was just how badly he also wanted to win. Even when he would be like, I remember one time in Allen, we were playing Allen Park freshman year. I don't know what he was up with him, but he had tears in his eyes because we were losing. We were down in the game. He was so mad, he was spitting. He was so mad. I remember Nathan and Austin after being like, "Oh my God," they hadn't even seen him like that in 4 years. They were like, "This is nuts." But that
Sure.
was kind of like the what Rick was like. It was like he always was that level 10. He'd be doing film like in the locker room. He'd have more energy than anyone else, and everyone's Man, his film sessions are still like some of the most fear I'd ever be in because he'd rip you.
He's an awesome coach. There's a reason I've been coaching with him for so long because I always say he loves hockey. He wants to win, exactly like you just said, and he loves his players and his team. So like, if you don't have those three things, then I don't want to be around you. And I've always said that about him. So that's it's funny to hear that from a player's perspective, and it's the same I feel too.
And he is one of those coaches that I mean, I give him a lot of credit because not a lot of coaches are stubborn, but like, I'll hear him talk about it, hear him talk about watching Spit and Chicklets, or hear him talk about watching podcasts with like hockey. He's one of those coaches that would knows that you have to evolve with the game. You cannot just only stick to your same ritual, same routine. Like Rick always, I would notice that Rick would have like new little stuff that he'd like throw in, and I would just be like, "Where is he getting this from?" But
100%.
it was always he's always kind of been changing with hockey. Even the way I'll go skate with GR now and see the way that he runs those practices, it's way different than it was my senior year. So that's like 3 years ago. And it's because he knows it's just different. It's just hockey's changing. So it is
Yeah.
really good.
I completely agree with that. I think that's a huge compliment for a coach, especially a coach that's been around, for as long as he has and experienced so much. Because, like you said, it's easy to be stubborn. It's hard to change, especially when you've had success. To find new ways to improve and to
Yeah.
stay current is so, or even stay ahead. Not even just current and staying ahead. Like that's a huge thing. Um, Anything else on the whole high school experience that you wanted to touch on? We've touched a lot here. I'll jump ahead to some junior stuff, but what about high school? Anything else?
Yeah. Kind of what I want to say about high school is like how you think that putting up 90 points is going to have you move on, but that's not all that matters. So it's kind of like my biggest thing with high school is I'll talk to guys that are my brother's age that played with my brother or kind of or like or kind of were played against him or whatever, and they're thinking about going to high school now for their junior and senior year or whatever. And I'm telling them, I'm like, they look at what I did and they're like, oh, I'll just do that. I'll just do what he did. I'll go put up 90 points and then go and move on. I'm like, first, I promise it's not that easy. And two, like you don't just move on from high school by putting up numbers. So it's basically like yeah, I mean it's kind of just
Sure.
pisses me off a little bit almost. I'm like, these guys think that they could just like go to high school, light it up, and then leave. I'm like, all right, you'll see. You'll see how it
So
is.
completely agree with you, and I think you're spot on with all of that. If and not to put you on the spot, but do you have any advice to a player that would be coming to high school from AAA that does want to move on? Guys that want to use it as a jumping off point to the next level. Do you have advice for them on how that would work?
Yeah. Take playing high school with everything. Take it like play with confidence. Take it as like a learning experience because in high school it's you like I said earlier, like you only have 25 games. You only have at max like 5 or 6 playoff games. You're not you don't have like that much time to just constantly like you can't take any nights off. So basically going from AAA to high school, it's basically just be ready every night to say like I have to go out, I have to go put up points. I have to every single night I have to go do something because there's only 25 games. So if I want to move on, every night is gonna count. It doesn't matter. I have to do something every night.
Love that. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. It's like Michael Jordan always said that he wanted to play as hard as he could every single night because there was some family that saved up money to come there on some random night, and he didn't want their one experience to be one when he was off. And
Yeah, it's
you
kind of
know,
like, I mean, when a scout to look at you, you only have 25 games. It's like
sure,
you cannot take one game and be like, we're playing somebody so and so. I'm gonna just take the night off. Like, no, you're playing so and so. It's time to put up 8 points. Like that's what you got to think.
I love it. So your transition to junior hockey, you like you said earlier, you had an opportunity in the NA. You go to Sarnia, instead, and what was that development path like? From that transition, we were just talking about guys transitioning to high school. What was it like for you to transition from high school to junior hockey?
Uh, it was high school to juniors was the toughest experience life wise that I had had because it was just I was kind of caught up with some stuff at home a little bit when I first left. I was a little bit like I was upset over just some stupid stuff, and it was just not a good thing. Because like I mean, in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, I want to go home. I'm just like in a lull. So then I show up after putting up 90 points in high school. I show up on the third line. So I'm like, all right, it's whatever. Like I'll play through it. Start playing, not playing through it. Start getting scratched. I get scratched like 3 nights in a row. Start calling
Wow,
my dad, giving him the whole junior spiel, like, oh, I should be playing over this guy, like all this shit. My dad's like, no, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. It was I had a talk with him that basically made me realize like no one owes you anything. Cause I go from playing high school at 90 points. He's like, he's like, do you have guys on your team that are drafted in the OHL, like trying to make their OHL teams? Like you can't. What do you think your coaches owe you? Because you're like what? Like I don't understand what you're trying to get at. So my dad basically told me like no one owes you anything, and yeah, you got to just continue to go out and basically take what you want. Going to juniors was the toughest thing. I was getting scratched 3 nights in a row, and then I remember I went to a practice and I asked the coach, I was like, what can I do? And he was like, you're just being tentative. I was like, I remember at practice, was not making a lot of friends that practice. I was just trying to crush people or just do whatever it took to like make the team or to get back in the lineup. And then from then on, I just kind of carved out a role like third line, second line, back to fourth line, third line, second line, stayed at second line. And then I think I started the year, the first like 12 games. I think I had an assist in the first game, a secondary
amazing.
assist in the very first game. And that was it for like 12. And man, like I mean, you saw in high school, junior and senior year, I don't think I might not have had a game where I didn't have a point, or maybe like one or two. So I was kind of like, I never really thought, uh, I never thought like, oh, like could this be it? So I start not putting up points, and then like 12 games in, I only have an assist, and switch up lines. I start playing harder. All this. I go from like 1.12 games, finish the year, 50 game season. I finished the year with 30 points. Pretty solid because I just kind of like came out of the gutter. Like I had nothing
Sure.
and finished like fourth on the team in points and all this. But yeah, the first year of juniors was like, you have to, if it's, I tell guys, I was telling younger guys here that were complaining about getting scratched or stuff like that. I'm like, if you either want to play junior hockey or you don't want to do it because guys that are getting scratched, like me, even when I was getting scratched, I never had a thought of I don't want to do this. It was I'm good enough to do this. I'm better than these guys. I got to get back in the lineup. So it is like a huge mindset thing. Like I could have rolled over. I could have been. I mean, ever a lot of people have this experience though. It's not like just me. Like I could have rolled over. Like a lot of people have that experience of you start low on the totem pole and then you end up working your way up. But some guys just can't deal with it.
There's a lot there that's so awesome. Like I said earlier, is like you referenced when I said, like your current self would beat the shit out of your younger self because you've just grown and you've gotten better and stuff. I think like this version of you now, you're like you could give so much advice to these younger versions of yourself, and it sounds like you are with your current teammates and other guys, which is awesome. What was keeping you motivated during all that? Was it just what you said about like that mentality of I want to play, I want to succeed, or what was keeping you motivated?
Uh, I mean, I don't know if you ever felt like this, but a huge part of it was self pride. Self
Mm,
pride. I think a lot of people say self pride could be. sometimes not a good thing. I think self-pride has helped me so much because I do have so much of it, and sometimes you don't wanna always wear your pride on your sleeve and, just kinda like you don't wanna take everything to heart, but I have so much, like, pride like, self-pride. I couldn't I so in Sarnia, I could not have gone back to Wyandotte and went to Kennedy Ice Arena on a Wednesday to go watch Trenton versus somebody. And then I couldn't have even shown my face. You know what I mean? I had too much self pride because I had gone and played juniors. I had too much self pride at that point to turn around, and I had too much self pride to sit there and play third or fourth line and be scratched. So I thought, man, I'm not gonna go home. I can't do that. I couldn't physically do that to myself, and I can't physically sit here and not play. So the only option I had at that point was to start start trying to get in the lineup. That was it. But a huge part of it, even now, it's a huge thing is self-pride. I never played tier two juniors, and I always felt like I was good enough. And there's guys that'll sit there and like run their mouths, and they're from downriver, and they sit there and they just kind of like they act like they could have done it too. And I'm like, you couldn't have though. You couldn't have.
Sure.
Like I promise you couldn't have. And it's just a little bit of like it's a huge self-pride thing. Everything I do is based off of like just self-pride. It's all because if I didn't have any self-pride in myself, I wouldn't go take risk or do any of this stuff. I wouldn't do it.
I love it. I don't even know what to add on there. You just summed it all up so well. How, are you still operating that way with your second year of juniors and then now into your third?
100%. I went here, so now it's more like it's like I always feel like I mean, it's not that I want it to end, but I always feel like, okay, well, I accomplished this, so then I think it's done now. But then
Sure.
something always creeps into my head like, well, I want to do this. So it's like, then I start having the self pride with that. And that's what I'm saying. If I didn't have self pride, I don't think that I would be as successful as I am right now because it's
Hmm.
like I showed up to the NCDC and like I said, huge self pride. People don't think the Goj is as good as the NCDC. I'm like, man, I think it's like they're on the pretty even levels. So I was like, man, I'm gonna show up here, prove to everyone that I've been playing in a pretty good league for 2 years. That I promised
Yeah.
the league was no slouch. Like it's not like I was just like slacking off or anything. And another big part of it is wanting to go play college hockey. I wanna. It's not that I want like I don't have an unrealistic expectation of like getting a full ride scholarship or going and playing Division 1 or anything that's I don't know. I don't have anything that's unrealistic. I kind of have my life or what I want to do planned out. So I just want to go play college, but I want to have the best experience in college that I can possibly have because of how hard I've worked in juniors. So I want to go to a college that'll be like not statistic wise, but like high school, if you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
Rick would be like, yo, five go out. I want
Yeah.
to play on a team where, well, like while at my junior team now and while I'm starting in my second year, yeah, I was looked at as a guy like, all right, put this guy out. We got to get a goal or no, we got to do this or that. Like I was looked at as like an offensive player, but it's still like, it's not like how high school was. And I think I could swallow my pride enough to go play college somewhere that isn't unbelievable, but it's better for me to just kind of like it to end it off like that. You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
end it how I want to.
I think that is that is the exact mindset that you need because it's not always about the flashy name of a team that you can just tell people for. It's about what's right for you in your situation. So
Yeah.
that's it's a I'm sure like that's huge growth even from being like 12 years old when everyone wants to play for Michigan and Michigan State, or D1 like that'd still be awesome. And who knows what happens over the next 11 months, but like do where it's
Well,
right for you.
I'm I talked to even my little brother when he was like 7 years old. He tells me to this day, like right now, he's like, I never thought you were gonna play juniors, man. It's like I never thought. He said he was just like, no way, like because I didn't care as much as him.
Sure.
It wasn't like my thing. It wasn't like the best thing that I had ever done. So like hockey wasn't my number one. So it was
Mhm.
like not my parents never thought that this would happen or like I would get these opportunities that I'm getting. So now that it is happening, I'm more so just grateful at this point that I got to do it. Good enough leagues for uh, they got to play in good enough leagues for like 2, 3 years. Yeah, like by the time I get to college, I kind of think it's just kind of like I'm ready to not hang them up. I'm gonna play in college, but
Sure.
you know, kind of just call it relaxed. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's good stuff. So, I mean, you're obviously starting the year. You're a couple weeks in with NCDC. Sounds like you've got goals of playing college hockey, and all that's awesome. But you've got a great mentality and way to like look back on all this. So I'm very proud of you for that, and I give you a ton of credit for the growth throughout all of it. Um, I don't want you to go through like exactly your personal goals. A lot of that's, personal and inside, but are there any specific things that you're working on this year that you're trying to do to get to that point of playing college next year?
Um. Well, I mean, the biggest thing that I'm working on is my grades right now. I'm taking community college classes. My biggest goal is to just get my grades up.
Sure.
Again, I never like I kind of look back and regret some of this stuff, but I never thought I'd play juniors. I never thought I'd go to college. So those two things, I set myself back so far, never thinking about them, never even having a thought about those two things. Like I never even was like, I don't know. So now that I did juniors, and now that I want to go to college, I'm like, oh, I just feel behind the eight ball. So started taking some prereqs classes, but
That's
I kind of,
awesome.
I more so, yeah, just working on getting my grades up. It's like kind of the only goal I have.
Nice. Well, good stuff. Any lastly here, I mean, you've had a whole bunch of people that you've referenced here, but anyone specific that you want to give a shout out to just for playing a role in your life and in your career? I know it's tough because there's so many people, but is there anyone specific other that we haven't discussed necessarily?
Um, I mean, I'll give him another shot, I guess, but I'd say right now, it hasn't been. It's been kind of recently, but my brother and Gonzo, probably at the moment, like my two closest buddies. Like my
Mm-hmm.
brother, like I'll call him my closest buddy because it's just kind of those are the only two guys that we're kind of all doing the same thing together. I'll add Ethan Garden in there too. Ethan's pretty cool, but like us four, we all kind of hang out and talk because it's like we're the only four around here at least that I'm friends with that are kind of doing this junior hockey thing. So I give a lot
Yeah.
of credit to I give a lot of credit to Ethan and Jake. Like they're playing juniors. Like Ethan was playing in the OHL last year at 16, and Jake's playing now
Right.
17. Like those guys, me and Gonzo, like we're buddies with them because I think it's so cool what they're doing. We're like, man, these guys, it's just nuts
Yeah.
the life they live. But I give a lot of credit to those guys and give a shout out to those guys because they've helped me keep going. Almost me and Ethan had it was like the coolest thing because last year it was his first year juniors and it was my second year, and I remember Scott, his dad, like was talking to my dad and was like talking about Ethan being on the phone with me, and my dad was like, what, like you on the phone with Jimmy? And he was like, yeah, they're like best friends. And my dad was like, what? And me and Ethan just got super close because he was going through a hard time. Like, I mean, I was playing in the Goj, he was playing in the OHL, and I was still able to kind of give him advice like, if you really want to do this, you cannot be so upset over getting scratched or so upset over not playing. And we kind of just had talks like that about, just keep going.
It's
You're playing,
huge.
you're already in such a good spot. Why be upset right now? Like you're 16, you have so much time. Like I would always talk to Ethan. I mean, and then with my little brother too, I talk to him all the time. Like he's always worrying and always. I couldn't imagine the way I was my junior and senior year. I could not imagine having to deal with the stress of trying to play on the first power play unit in the OHL. Like I would be like,
Right.
man, I can't do this. But it's just crazy.
It's great that you guys have those friendships and that relationship with your brother and with those other guys because, like you said, you can each help each other. And your experiences, exactly like you just said, you didn't play in the OHL. Technically, you were playing in a lower level than him, but those same concepts apply regardless of the level. And honestly, they will apply outside of just hockey too. Those will be life things that you will reference and learn from personally and for others down the road as well. So that's awesome. All right. Well, this has been great, Jimmy. You've done a lot, and it's awesome talking to you about all this stuff and getting your perspective. So, good luck the rest of this year. I'll be following along, and we'll be in touch.
Yes, thank you for having me on. Been an honor actually. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Jimmy.